Hey, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a user's guide for a really interesting system called Spooky2. We're going to break down step by step one of its main methods, something they call contact mode, to really get a handle on how it's all supposed to work.
So it all really boils down to this one fundamental question, right? How do you actually take a frequency, just a specific vibration, and apply it directly to your body? That's the core idea we're going to unpack here.
So, first things first, let's start at the beginning. What even is contact mode? Well, according to this user guide, it's pretty much the foundational method for getting those frequencies right where you want them.
The guide lays it out like this. It's the process of sending frequencies from a generator into your body using these things called contact electrodes. And you've probably seen something like them before, like TENS pads or those metal hand cylinders. Simple enough, right? So what's the goal?
Well, the training materials say there are really two main goals here, two very different paths you can take. On one hand, you've got what they call killing, which they define as electrocution by frequency to deal with pathogens. And on the other hand, there's healing or entrainment, which is all about trying to bring an organ or a system back to its natural, healthy frequency.
All right, so if you wanted to get started, what would you need? Well, the guide says the first step is all about getting your hardware together, assembling your toolkit.
The user training lays out a really clear list of what you need. First up, a Windows computer, and they actually mention that cheap, refurbished laptops are a really popular choice. Then you've got the core components, a generator box, this little black box called the boost unit, a TENS cable, and finally your contact accessory, which could be pads, cylinders, or even conductive gloves.
And the cool thing is, setting up the hardware is supposed to be super simple. It's just a three-step chain. The TENS cable plugs into the boost unit, and then the boost plugs into the generator. That's it. Once everything's connected, you're ready to tackle the software.
But listen, the hardware is really only half the story. The real, let's say, the power, and the complexity, that all comes from the software. So let's break down how a new user is supposed to find their way around it.
So when you open up the software, you're basically given two main ways to go. There's an easy mode that uses things called presets. These are prepackaged programs ready to go. And then there's a more advanced custom mode that uses shells. This is probably the most important thing for a new user to get their head around.
So what on earth is a shell? Well, the training explains it as a kind of pre-configured template. Think of it like this. You pick a shell for what you want to do, like killing or healing, and it automatically adjusts all the complicated settings in the background for you. It's designed to make a really complex process way simpler.
And they even have this clever little rhyme to make it stick. When you click on a shell or a preset, it turns blue. And the rhyme goes, when it's highlighted in blue, the settings page has been adjusted for you. It's just a simple visual cue that lets you know the software has done all that heavy lifting.
Okay, so here's where it gets really practical. If you're going the custom route, this is the workflow. First, you pick a shell from the Presets tab. Then, you pop over to the Programs tab to find and load a specific frequency program. After maybe tweaking a few settings, that's optional, you head to the Control tab to kick the whole thing off. It's a multi-step process, but it gives you total control.
But now, check this out. Compare all that to the easy mode. Here, you just find a complete, pre-made preset, like their broad-spectrum antibiotic one. And once you click it and it turns blue, you just jump straight to the Control tab and hit Start. See the difference? Way more direct, especially if you're just starting out.
The training guide actually has a fantastic way of looking at this so you don't get overwhelmed. They say the software is like a mountain bike with a ton of gears. You're probably not going to use all of them, right? But they're there for the advanced riders who want to experiment. The idea is you only need to learn the gears that are right for you.
Okay, so let's recap. You've got your hardware hooked up, you've figured out the software, so what's next? Let's walk through the final steps to actually get your first session going.
It really all comes down to this. Once you're on that final Control tab, the whole process is just 3 simple clicks. 1, you click Override Generator. 2, you click your specific generator box. And 3, you click Start. And just like that, the frequencies are up and running.
But a big question is, where do you actually put the pads, right? Well, the training guide has a main recommendation for a general whole-body treatment. One pad on your right wrist and the other on your left ankle. And they are really clear about one major safety warning. Always keep the pads and the current they create below the neckline.
But, this system isn't just about running one-off sessions. For people who get really into it, the guide lays out these complex multi-day programs that they call protocols.
For anyone who wants to go deeper, the user manual points them to something called the Terrain Protocol. It's described as this foundational, multi-day detox program that's designed to prepare the body for more specific work later on. It is a serious commitment, though.
And this timeline here gives you a really good idea of what that commitment looks like. The Terrain Protocol is all structured over 11 days, and as you can see, every day has a very specific job. It starts with removing metals, then moves on to chemicals, then supporting organs like the kidneys and liver, and it just keeps building all the way up to the final day.
So after exploring the hardware, the 2 software paths, and even the advanced protocols, we're left with this final thought. With a database that has literally thousands of programs, the biggest journey for any user isn't just learning how to run the system, it's figuring out where in all that possibility is the right place for them to begin.